the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week. And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. My name is Josh. I am your host. And today we are going to learn about one of the best kept secrets of restaurants and chefs. For our guest today, Chrissy Bellman's journey is a testament to determination and innovation. From a corporate dropout to the founder of Levo, the world's first oil infuser, Chrissy defied the odds to create an eight-figure business. Her commitment to wellness and natural paths led to the development of her revolutionizing herbal infusion and empowering consumers with control over their ingredients. A corporate dropout was again with no prior engineering background. In 2016, Chrissy defied the odds by turning a random idea into the world's first oil infuser with multiple use cases. Despite doubts and criticism, Chrissy's perseverance and vision paid off, propelling Levo to an eight-figure business. Her 30 trips to China as part of her entrepreneur journey highlight her commitment to bringing her vision to life on a global scale. And today she's going to share that experience, her stories, and her insights with us. Chrissy, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on here. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, Chrissy, we need to jump into this right away. But before I do, what I always do, by the way I jump into this and the way I always start the episodes is what is the story of Chrissy Bellman? What is your story? Where did the journey begin, right? Before you got this random idea to creating the first oil infuser, did you always think that you were going to be um, in the restaurant business, so to speak, or did you always think you wanted to create something or innovate on something? Any pivotal moments in your childhood and throughout your life where you realized that this is it, this is my path? What is the story of Chrissy Bellman?
Well, thank you for asking. It's a good question. I think, creating things and coming up with crazy ideas. And when I was a kid, playing pretend, just making up something we were doing and pretending to that it was real, like, and wanting to be a grown up, was how I
Hmm.
was. And I think when I got older, that translated into being relatively competitive with things and really into school. Like I was always kind of pushing the envelope a little bit.
Hmm.
But in around college, when I started my corporate career, I it was a very hard decision for me. I felt, and I feel like many entrepreneurs would maybe relate to the fear around starting a business and taking a leap in an idea of yours when you have practical considerations in your life. So I ended up working for someone else for a long time so that I could afford to start my own business. But I really wanted to for a long time before I did it. And it was a very hard decision. So I'd say I always had some kind of itch. I always wanted, since I was little, to do more. And it took me some time to be able to afford that freedom in my life.
And that is a true fear. That is a real fear when it comes to every entrepreneurial journey, leaving that job, leaving that like that guaranteed kind of income and that regularity and all that, and jumping into your own ideas because apart from the income aspect of it or the monetary aspect of it, there's also that fear that your idea might not ever work, right? There's also that fear that, oh no, like maybe this isn't such a good idea, right? And Chrissy, this is you jumping into your idea, like I said, like in it's a random idea rather. Talk to us a little bit about that and how you turned this random idea into. Oh, by the way, is it Levo or Levo?
It's Levo, but that's okay.
Okay, Levo. There you go. Okay, I did kind of. I did. I knew. I spelled that or pronounced that wrong. Levo. Your random idea, turning it into the world's first oil infuser. Talk to us about that. How did you navigate the initial doubts and criticisms of how this idea might work or might not work, and then how did you turn it into this such massive success today?
I think something that was different about Levo than a lot of other companies is that even though I had a propensity for controlling ingredients and making things naturally, and I'm a DIY person myself at home,
Hmm.
um, the product wasn't necessarily for me. I
Right.
made a product. I saw people online making
Hmm.
infusions and felt that their problem needed to be solved, and I was interested in it because there were so many people talking about it online, but no companies or brands. So I
Right.
thought, what product could I make that would address that for them and give and feed
Hmm.
that demand that was apparently there, and that's what I did, and I still think it influences the business today because I'm in service to the customers. It's the
Right.
customers, they wanted this idea, so I made it for them. And today,
Hmm.
even, all of their recipes that they make and everything they do are beyond my wildest expectations. So I think it was different in that sense. I think a lot of companies are the founder was missing something in their life and really wanted it. I understood their problem because I'm a DIY person, but I wasn't necessarily
Hmm.
infusing oils myself. So I
Hmm.
think that was very different about it, and that's why I describe it as random sometimes, because I kind of stumbled upon this traffic and these conversations online.
Wow. And if that doesn't define the entrepreneurial spirit that you have, because it's about filling that gap, right? Like filling that need, identifying the need in this particular niche in a particular industry, and like you said, you're not necessarily uh, a restaurant, a restaurateur, right? But you went online, you look for people having that same conversation, and you filled that gap with your not only with just an idea or a service, but with an actual innovation that came to your mind. I think that is even more impressive, and the perseverance that it took
Thanks.
you to get to that, to get to this point today. So it's, well, Levo now has been described as a groundbreaking innovation in the kitchen appliance industry. What do you think sets it apart particularly from other products? Like, it has multiple use cases and is now transformed the way people approach herbal infusion and wellness as well. What makes Levo so special?
I think that basically what you said is what makes products like Instant Pot. There's some other brands that have these crossover appliances that
Hmm.
are multi-use appliance would be the real term. And I think um, people want value in something that they buy. So when they buy something and they know they can make 10 different things with it, it helps the value versus buying something that only does one very specific thing. It's hard to have enough space for that many products, and it's hard to buy something for every single thing. So I think someone who, maybe they have one use case they do the most often, but they
Yeah.
perceive the value higher in the product because on one week maybe they decide they want to do something new and Levo can do it. It's
Right.
not just for one thing. So I actually think it's exactly what you were describing, and there's been some growth in multi-use appliances in general that Levo's been a part of.
What was it like for you now, Chrissy, now that you've developed this your own product, Levo, empowering, wellness and natural paths, when it comes to using Levo as well. Um, for you yourself, the infusions and optimizing the benefits of all these herbs, from cooking to skincare, how has the journey been for you in using your own products as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of it for Levo events, and I have one at home, and to me, it's like a leisurely activity. And I always have loved finding a way to make something myself and not have to buy
Hmm.
it at the store, because when you buy things
Right.
at the store, very often the ingredients that are inside might not be the quality that you want. So, the first infusion I ever made was a Baham body scrub. So I can take like
Oh wow.
infused olive oil and salt, and make like and a little bit of like some kind of acid like lemon juice, and you can make a body
Wow.
scrub that is very expensive at the store and usually has like bad fragrances and things like that, but it
Mm-hmm.
works even better and
Mm-hmm.
it's really nice. So I like some products like that that are not only less expensive to make at home, but also the quality is a lot better. That's personally
Mm-hmm.
where I like to be. I'm not a huge gourmet cook myself. I'm very impressed by the customers and what they make. I remember
Wow.
the first time I saw a customer make turmeric flavored ice cream, and it was bright orange and a beautiful
What?
ice cream. And
Whoa.
I was very impressed by that, but I wouldn't have, I'm not as skilled as most of the customers are. So yeah, that's really where I like to be. And then I know people are making homemade like holistic remedies and medicines,
Mm-hmm.
even things for pain that they rub on their skin for like joint pain. I mean, the list goes on
Wow.
of what people can make. Yeah.
That is very nice because you brought innovation. You brought this kind of idea to life with your own, you know, uh, want for DIY. You know, that kind of like desire for your own innovating things. And now that you brought this to people's life, people are actually also innovating in their own way, right? And they're discovering different ways to do different things more naturally and more beneficial to them as well. This speaks to your DIY spirit, your engineering spirit, so to speak. The journey of developing Levo involved must have involved a lot of, again, engineering and development over a span of years, perhaps, and over this time span. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced during this process as you were developing this product, and how did you overcome them to bring Levo to life?
I would say, in general, anyone with an idea for a physical product is generally
Hmm.
um, they're facing huge capital challenges because there are just hard costs.
Right.
At the end of the day, there's a minimum of
Hmm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars in tooling
Hmm.
expenses, like creating molds and cutting steel that you can't get around. And then, in addition
Yeah.
to that, it's a very treacherous environment of like contract engineers and product design firms and things of that nature to
Hmm.
to design the product. And a lot of companies, like a lot of investors, for example, are very nervous about investing in hardware because sometimes there's a perception that you never stop engineering. It just goes on and on for years
Oh,
and years, and it takes so long.
really?
So I
Wow.
think as the founder of a hard goods company, you have to learn, you have to
Hmm.
understand your own invention, and you have to learn what's really important about it, and you have to be willing to
Hmm.
say this is good enough and move
Hmm.
forward, because otherwise you will run out of money is sort of
Oh,
the
wow.
challenge to getting something to market. And you need to know, sometimes there's a tendency to make too many features and too many ideas, but
Of
really
course.
what you need to do is you need to get a minimum viable product, MVP, out into the market, and then the
Hmm.
customers need to
Hmm.
tell you what to do from there. Like the sooner you get
Wow.
it out to customers and they get you feedback, the
Hmm.
better. So really, that was my focus, and I feel like what helped me do a lot of that was listening to engineers and learning. Like I call myself a pretend engineer now because I have learned so much from the manufacturers and engineers that I've worked with that I speak the
Uh-huh.
language enough to understand it and empathize with it, because some people treat it like a commodity,
Right.
and that's
Hmm.
not the
Hmm.
case. It's something extremely important, and those people are very, very
Right.
smart. But you do have
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
help them with the roadmap and help them understand the goals. And you have to be very
Hmm.
clear
Hmm.
on it, because otherwise it will go on and on and on, and it will never end.
Wow. Wow, that is very cool. That first of all, that whole the engineering process that you must have gone through, and the advice that you just dispensed just now, talking about making those decisions. Towing the line on innovation, on the features. Treating these engineers with the respect that they do deserve. But at the same time, how much were you involved deeply when it comes to the actual creation or the engineering of the device? Like, did you have to create that first prototype? I'm very more curious right now. Talk to us a little bit about the process of the early versions, the early iterations, and then having to bring that to to engineers as well to mass produce. How did that go?
Yeah, I've been extremely involved, very, very closely
Wow.
involved. It's actually where I've probably spent over the years the majority of my time, and the relationships I've built along the way I would attribute to Levo's survival and success through different
Wow.
times because of the closeness I have to the manufacturers and things. But the earliest steps were I, went to restaurant supply stores and I bought similar products that had
Hmm.
something in common. For example, a product that had a heater or a product that had a dispenser. And I would look at
Hmm.
them all and think like they all have different aspects that I want. I just want them all in one device. So I
Hmm.
would
Hmm.
take, one part from one product and put it inside the other and like prototype something. And I was doing that myself for a while. And then I found I briefly found a product design firm. I was living in New York City at the time, and there are these
Right.
very fancy design firms that work for some of the bigger companies. And I quickly realized
Wow.
after spending some time and money there that I was going to run out of money if I were to use those
Whoa.
resources. So I had to
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
more creative. And so then I paid some students from a university called Parsons in New York City, and two students that I paid
Shout out.
not nearly as much money as the design firm actually progressed the design a lot. And
Wow.
they actually mostly, one of the most valuable things I got early was that they built it the wrong way. Not, I mean, they did a great job, but they basically built it in a way that showed me a lot of problems about why you shouldn't make it that way. And that led
Interesting.
to a lot of patentable material. And it
Wow.
helped give me a lot more direction. So sometimes by iterating and just taking little steps and continuing to prototype, it's just as important to learn how not to make it as it is to learn how to make it the right way. And actually,
Hmm.
learning how not to make it gives you a lot of insight into your future patent strategy. So, yeah, I would say that that was super helpful. And then after that, I was working directly with factories at that point to create prototypes and spending a lot of time myself doing that.
Wow. That is very interesting. Those are all, that's the path to it is quite interesting. And you can truly, I would say, call yourself an engineer now, especially after the journey that you went through. It's quite the
Maybe.
story.
I
I
wouldn't
love
take
that
too much
story.
credit. Yeah, they're
I
very
do
smart.
love that story.
Engineers, I have a
Hmm.
lot of respect for engineers. I think sometimes they're treated like a commodity, like I said, but actually they're
Hmm.
some of the smartest people, and they just need to collaborate with the business person very closely to make decisions.
Right. Wonderful. That's so. What a way to kind of like bring people who actually deserve the credit, actually bring people in the background up to the front, acknowledging them. Of course, also this journey of yours wasn't, was rife with doubts and criticisms that you also had to deal with, not just self doubts, external doubts. As an entrepreneur who dealt with it, who also turned a simple idea into an eight-figure business, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs, especially in the hardware niche as well, who are looking to innovate, create groundbreaking solutions? What advice would you dispense to them earlier on that would allow them to create the same amount of success?
I would say specifically for hardware founders, I would say doing everything you can to define your product by yourself. You're going to spend,
Wow.
if you bring in other people before you've really thought through as many details of the product
Uh,
as you possibly can imagine, like,
uh-huh.
how you want it to look, what features you want it to have, what's important to you. Do you want it to work for different voltages in different countries? Like just having a requirements list that's as detailed as you
Hmm.
possibly can make it by yourself, which if you're doing it the
Hmm.
right way, it takes a long time because you need to think about it and then you need to talk to people, you need
Right.
to get challenged on it, and then you need to
Uh-huh.
refine your list. But the
Uh-huh.
closer you are to like a requirements list before you engage engineers, the less money you're going to spend by a lot, and the better experience the engineer is going to have working with you because you don't know 90% of what has to be built. You only know what you're asking for, but once you know
Right.
what you want to build, there are hours and hours and hours of design and CAD that have to happen. So it's
Wow.
better to have clarity because if an engineer builds what you asked for and then you say, oh, actually, I changed my mind, I want this,
Oh.
that's not just expensive, but that's many, many hours of lost time. So I would
Mhm.
say for hardware founders, particularly that. And then for any entrepreneur, I would say there's a very delicate balance between getting advice from people and following your gut. And I think they're both equally important.
Mhm.
And weighing them out, like you shouldn't be just copying other people and taking advice very literally, but you also shouldn't just be going from no experience purely ignorant and just going crazy. I think it's important to talk to experienced people, but I think you have to take their advice and make it your own. And I've
Mhm.
made that mistake a lot of going in either direction, particularly taking advice very literally that I didn't understand or I didn't agree with.
Right.
So that would be my general advice.
Right, and this is also speaks about having a clear vision first, right? First and foremost,
Yeah.
not just perhaps with the design, but you yourself as an entrepreneur deciding on what you want it to look like, what you want it to be before taking in, it because it's your vision, right? Because if you start taking in influence outside and you're not sure exactly what you're gonna do, you're just gonna get lost. And I imagine this is also how you navigated rather throughout more internal issues, right? The doubts and the criticisms. How would you see yourself, or how do you see entrepreneurs now also dealing with that internal issue? And what advice would you dispense this time with dealing with all of that? And how did you yourself overcome that as well?
I'd say acceptance is probably the best thing you can do. I've read a
Right.
few quotes recently. I think Elon Musk said being a CEO or being an entrepreneur, I forget, is like eating glass every day. And
Wow.
I think there's just some harsh realities that
Hmm.
you have to accept. I think you have to prepare your personal life for entrepreneurship and running a company, and you need support around you. So
Right.
you're not surprised on there will be bad days, and it's better
Hmm.
to be
Hmm.
prepared for that than to pretend that that doesn't exist. Because
Hmm.
otherwise you'll get exhausted and you won't be able to keep moving, and they don't end, like even as
Wow.
very successful people still have bad days. So,
Hmm.
and problems still happen, and actually the problems just get bigger and bigger and bigger the bigger you get. So,
Of course.
don't live in a fantasy that will only lead you to being disappointed. So that's my
Well,
general advice on that.
Chrissy, thank you so much for that. I think it does, of course, allow us to peer into or peek into the life of an entrepreneur, a CEO, a founder who knows her way around, who's been around. And again, it's not, it takes a different kind of mind, right? It takes a different kind of individual. But I always say it takes a different kind of crazy to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's not fit for everyone, right? So being prepared, having that mindset, and accepting that these things are going to happen are really, really crucial when it comes to navigating the business world or the entrepreneurial world. Chrissy, I would love to give you this opportunity. Where can we find you? Where can we connect with you? Where can we learn more about Levo and how you see yourself in the future? What are your future aspirations?
Sure. Thank you. Um, Levo's website is levoil.com. Please follow us
Mhm.
and support us. We love to have you. We also have a Levo Love Club on Facebook. That's a pretty big community of people. If you like to make DIY infusions and things, you can join that
Wow.
group. You're more than welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn or message me a question if you're inspired to make a product or something like that. I'm always happy to be helpful. And my vision for myself going forward is to do this again. I have some other inventions and some other ideas to do more
Wow.
companies
Awesome.
like Levo. But then my very far out vision is actually to help other people with their ideas. I'm just continuing to get better at it. But my ultimate goal is to assist other people if they have a wonderful idea that I also believe in, to help them bring all the resources and figure their way around it. So that's kind of my long term goal.
Wow, that is so cool. A true
Hmm.
inventor at heart, and an inventor as well to the people, to educate them, to bring out their own inventor spirit as well. That is very cool. That is a very cool mission and a story to get
Thank you.
behind. To Chrissy, that's quite exciting. I invite everyone to join the Facebook group Love Levo Club, Levo Love Club,
Yeah.
and join that and check out Levo website, check out the product, go buy it online, try it yourself. And
Thank you.
Chrissy, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your innovations, sharing your stories, and it has been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. And to all our audience and listeners out there, see you on the next one. All right.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Uh, how did you feel about that? What did you think of the interview?
That was great. Thank you so much. And thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Fantastic. Okay, Chrissy, thank you so much for the time and thank you so much for that story. I'm actually quite excited as well to check out your
Oh,
new
yeah.
inventions and your new innovations.
Oh,
Um,
thank you. Yeah, add
I'll,
me on LinkedIn.
for sure, I did. I sent that connect request. I will actually join that Facebook group because I'm so interested. I want to check out the things that are happening. But yes, I am quite excited. Thank you for being on the show and let's keep in touch.
All right, so here's the thing, we try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.